Trauma doesn't just live in therapy offices, it lives in schools. And the question often becomes, are we equipped to deal with it? Do you believe educators are equipped to deal with the level of trauma we see?
I'd like to say no. I believe that in 2025, we believe that educators wear every hat. They are therapists, they're the parents, they're the teachers, they're the nurse. And I don't think that it is something that they are trained to do. I think that it is an overwhelming feeling of burden that is outside of the realm of what they actually go to school for.
All right, let's go and jump into it. Welcome back to another episode of Academic Therapy, where we break down the real challenges in education, leadership, and personal growth. And we do it in a way that's practical, raw, and therapeutic. Now, listen up. Today, we're diving deep into something that doesn't really get enough attention or doesn't allow space to be handled in the educational conversation. Specifically, how trauma impacts students, educators, and the overall learning experience. Because let's be real, students don't just show up to school with a backpack full of books. They bring everything with them, what's happening at home, what's happening in their neighborhoods, and sometimes even what's happening inside their own minds. So today we're going to unpack how trauma shows up in the classroom, how it affects teachers, and most importantly, how we can respond in ways that heal and not harm. Today I have a phenomenal panel with me, comprised of various individuals from different perspectives in the educational system. Today I do have Dr. Curtis Callens, and I'll let him to introduce himself.
Good evening, family. It's an honor and a pleasure. Number one, thank you for this wonderful opportunity. My name is Dr. Curtis Cowlins. I've been an educator for over 25 years. Started off as a special education teacher, and I'm located in the city of Philadelphia, and have been administrator through K from elementary, middle school, high school, alternative schools, regular ed settings for 16 years, and a designer of trauma informed care schools, where I authored a training manual on training educators and care providers on how to design trauma informed and sensitive schools. So thank you, and it's a pleasure.
Man, appreciate you. Next up, we have Miss Riley.
Good evening, and thank you for having me back again. I am Miss Riley. I have been in education for close to 25 years and in administration close to 15 years. I love what I do. I've also worked at all three levels as an administrator. I was a secondary teacher, and I'm just happy to be back to share.
Thank you. And we also have Miss Tia.
Hi, everybody. I'm Celia Coates. Thank you for having me on. I've been in education 19 years. So I started as a teacher, special education teacher. I taught in the autism program, and also I taught students with severe and profound disabilities. I did that for 12 years. And then I switched over to become a professional school counselor for middle school students. Middle school is my jam. So that's where I plan on staying for a little while. But thanks for having me on.
Awesome. Thank you all for joining. Appreciate you. But before we get into it, let me paint a picture for you. I want you to think about the student who can't focus because there was an argument at home just the night before, or the student who's always angry because they're dealing with loss, neglect, or poverty, or even that teacher who's carrying their own trauma into the classroom, but is expected to be the rock for 150 kids from day to day. Trauma doesn't just live in therapy offices, it lives in schools. And the question often becomes, are we equipped to deal with it? And I pose that to you all. Do you believe educators are equipped to deal with the level of trauma we see day in and day out?
I'd like to say no.
Mm,
I believe that in 2025, we believe that educators wear every hat. They are therapists, they're the parents, they're the teachers, they're the nurse. And I don't think that it is something that they are trained to do. I think that it is an overwhelming feeling of burden that is outside of the realm of what they actually go to school for. I will say a lot of people do try to fill the part, but are they equipped for the trauma that we are receiving today? For the most part, I'm going to say no.
I'm gonna piggyback off of that and say no as well. Even ones that educators that are trained, there's not enough. There's not enough, right? And so most school counselors, they have a caseload 300 plus. Alaska says they should have about 250. I've never had a caseload that small. So while I do get cases of students who have had traumatic experiences, they're dealing with their ACEs, adverse childhood experiences, I can't see them all. And so I can be in my office with one, or I could be interacting and checking in on five, but there's 10 others who I didn't get a chance to see. So I'm going to piggyback and say no.
And I guess I'll be that one and say yes and no. But let me give you some context. It's pretty much yes, where a number of educators have been trained on being trauma informed, but they don't have the wisdom and application. So when you talk with them, they can tell you all the buzzwords and everything, but when you observe and say, are you really applying the content that you have learned and been trained on? And it's no. Or are you implementing preventative measures and practices? No. So it's more like, oh, well, did you really get anything out of that PD and apply the information out that PD? So I've sat in PDs and I see them training and like, look, we know this information, but why are we really struggling to implement it? So that's where I lean heavy towards the no, because it's more of informing them and saying, you have this information. Now let's get to the wisdom piece. Let's get to the application of
Mm-hmm. And that actually brings up a deeper conversation for me as well. Like we're no stranger to PDs. We mandated to have so many PDs a year. However, oftentimes, it's left to either the leadership of that building to determine what PDs. They might poll the school to be like, all right, do you guys want this kind of PD? You want that PD? Not to mention PDs related to the content that teachers are teaching. So how do we utilize all these different things that professional developments we're participating in, but then we're saying we're not provided, we're not, I guess, successfully being educated on how to address trauma, because we're dealing with extreme amounts of trauma, especially post pandemic. Like how do we utilize that training that we've gotten from professional developments and attribute that to a class?
And I think we need to enhance it, propel it to emotional intelligence, because the emotional intelligence really kick in. Do you have that self awareness? Do you have the social awareness? So number one, as the self awareness, are you able to be aware of your emotional state when you walk into that classroom? Are you able to regulate your experiences when your child is not listening and you can't believe they cannot find their shoes and we go over the same location every day and night, and why are we struggling, which made you late, therefore you couldn't have your cup of coffee and you bring that energy, but
Mm,
are you paying attention to the social climate of what occurred in that community the night before or the morning before as well? So I think we need to kick it into the next gear with the emotional intelligence.
Miss Coach, you was about to say something.
Oh, no, I agree with Dr. Kalanz. It's like, can you read a room too?
Mm,
Can you walk into a room and read the room? Can you walk into a room with a student and an educator, and maybe that student has had a hard time controlling their impulses? So, but you don't know what they went through yesterday, or you don't know what they're going through, and you walk, well, what you do now? What's going on with you? You in trouble? I mean, that's surface stuff. That's surface emotional intelligence that a lot of educators don't have. So it's real.
mm. But I guess I'll ask this question to follow up: is do teachers have enough time to have that? You know what I'm saying? If you think about what they're supposed to be doing on a daily basis, you got to be at your duty post. You got to make sure your lesson plan is hanging on the wall. You got to make sure you have all your instruction materials. And now I got to see if little Johnny, he come in here half cocked all of a sudden, and now I got to find out, did you eat yesterday? Now that becomes my responsibility.
Yes. And the reason I like Dr. Christopher Edom, he says, you must be the MC, the master of ceremony. Your job is to read the audience. You have the mic, and you got to understand where you have to motivate that audience and then recognize the climate of that atmosphere. So yes, it is your responsibility, because if there is no connection, there's no correction. And if you cannot be able to have a pulse of the climate of your classroom, then your content really is not, it's not being internalized.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't.
Oh, we got another guest today. All right now. How you
Mhm.
doing, sir? If you don't mind introducing yourself.
My name is Rashard Goodwin, um, economics personal finance teacher at Meadowbrook High School in Chesterfield County in Virginia.
All right, welcome, welcome. Appreciate you joining. So let me ask y'all this, man. When do you think, or what do you think about trauma in your students? Like, what's one of the most common ways that you see it show up in the classroom?
Mm.
The most common way that I can tell you that I've seen it in the past year is either through anger or kids just shutting down. I don't want to do the work. I don't want to talk. The whole aversion to working towards achieving academic success. I'm here to get love and attention, and if I don't get it in a positive way, I'll get it in a negative way.
Definitely attention seeking behavior. I agree with that.
And also say it with social anxiety. I see that technology have conformed them to these bubbles, and also headphone devices where you can do the noise cancellation. So they're so used to being in isolation that when they come in that classroom, that's where that hood is a representation of just kind of like leave me in my bubble right now. So it's pretty much like having that cup of coffee in your hand, which actually does more than the caffeine, where it warms you up. So as educators, how do we warm up our children and create that ambiance in that classroom that's warm and conducive for them to get ready to learn?
That's a good point. I like that reference of how do we create that ambience, or how do we create that space where students feel safe? I mean, because I mean, you kind of alluded to it eloquently, Dr. Collins, with if there's no connection, there's no correction. And I'm a strong believer that in order for students to perform, they have to feel valued, they have to feel seen, they have to feel, in a way, they have to feel loved by the teachers. And I guess it kind of goes to the question we were talking about earlier with the professional developments. Are we providing the correct professional developments for today's student?
No,
Why you say that?
I say that because as a current teacher, I know y'all are different. Y'all are in different phases of education as being administrators and counselors and people. I just went through a welcome back week of within my school. It was a waste of time. I will literally say that we sat there and I'm sitting there and I'm talking to my coworkers that are like talking about this, and it's like we didn't get better from this.
Mm.
Like we sit back and we it's things that are pushed, but are you helping your teachers get better? And it doesn't it depends on where you are, because I can say in the school district that I was in Florida, there was never any time where I didn't learn something from where I was. Everything benefited, where it helped me become a better teacher in the classroom. But now, where I am now, no, it doesn't. It's not. It just doesn't. It's not conducive to what we're experiencing and what we're seeing in the classroom.
That's deep. That's deep. So with that being said, let me ask y'all, what's one thing you wish teachers or even administrators understood about trauma that you think could change the way that we actually deal with our students?
Mm, mm.
I could tell you that if we just use the old adage, the old saying of you never know what someone is going through, so present kindness first for teachers, for administrators, for all of us who have to interact and try to move things. I think a lot of times, as the adult in the space, whether we're the administrator or the teacher, when Natiqua comes in, and I know she gets on my nerves all the time, I don't greet her with kindness first. It's always like, "What's wrong with you? What you do today?" Versus, "How was your evening? Do you want to talk about something that happened? Or did you have breakfast today? Let's run downstairs and get us a to-go breakfast." Something just in the form of kindness so that kids can feel welcomed and seen. Because the trauma that I feel like I see on a regular basis, kids want to come to the office. They want to come and sit in my office because it's one on one. They want to have a conversation. I'm going to let you talk. I'm going to be very like interlocked in our conversation so that you know I hear you. I'm going to ask questions. They may not receive that from anyone else. So they're like, "Go ahead, send me to the office. I want to talk to Principal Riley," because they know they're going to get that time. They even want to come down and do work with me. So trauma they have trauma. They may not want to share it with you, but they're looking to us as adults to make it a little lighter.
I know, I hear that.
That's hard for me to answer because I'm blessed. I have really good administrators that I work with this year, previous years, and so they make it an inviting atmosphere. It's hard. I can't answer that question.
I, when and I'm gonna say this. What makes it difficult for me, when I'm in currently right now, I'm in a building of new administrators. It's a very inexperienced group, and they do their best. But when I, as a teacher, as a classroom teacher, can walk past an administrator having a dispute, because in the state of Virginia right now, there's a tolerance policy as far as cell phones being in the building. I don't know how if everybody else has that, but in the state of Virginia right now, it's like confiscate, like take the phones from the kids. I walked past an administrator, and a kid that I had last year is literally in this hallway arguing with an administrator. It's like it's I'm not giving you that. Well, you can take these 5 days and go back home. And I walk past and I hear the conversation, and I'm like, and I look at the kid and I tell the kid, "Man, you got 45 minutes left in your day of school. What are you doing? You can take 5 days for 45 minutes without your phone? Get a man your phone." And the kid literally looks at me and says, "All right, coach, I got you." And hands the administrator's phone. But he's sitting there arguing with the administrator and the teacher outside of the classroom. I'm like, "Yeah, what are we doing?" But we don't take the time. Like it takes relationships. It takes a lot of things to it's not just the curriculum and being able to be able to just do certain things. Man, it takes a lot. It takes a lot to be able to work with kids today, because you don't know, again, one of the things y'all just talking about, you don't know what they're going through at home. But you have to also be able to put your foot down and be able to say, hey, man, get that man, give him the phone. You go get you get your pass, and you go in the last 5 minutes of class and be able to. But sometimes people just don't have the ability to do that.
Yeah, I agree. I think we need to start with the basics. Like I remember I did my internship years ago, and I shared this with you, Mike. And I was my teacher came to see me. You know, they come to observe you, whatever the case. And I was in the back of the building, so he went to the main office, came to see me, and the first thing he said was, "You're the first person that greeted me since I've been in this building." And I was like, "Wow." He was like, "Never do that. When you see someone in your building, be it a child,
Greet
be it an
them.
adult, greet them, say hello." And I've seen that over the years, and I'm like, that's the basics. How can you help a child if you won't even speak? If they come into your space, you won't say good morning, good afternoon, have a good evening. So I make it a point when a child or anybody comes into my space, good morning. They might not say nothing at first, but eventually, "Hey, Miss Coates, have a good night, Miss Coates." You know, just greet them. They're human. And so we gotta get back. And it's hard because you can't teach people how to people. You can teach them how to
Mm.
teach, but you can't teach them how to just common sense.
Yes, and I think sometimes as educators we make it very complex. And during some of my PDs, I train my teachers, and I first start off with, and I say, Name your favorite restaurant and tell me why. When you first open up the door, do they greet you? Is it warm? Is it receiving? So why do you go to this particular restaurant? You like chicken, but no. You go to this one place because it's the way that they cook their chicken. It's the ambiance. It's the way that they make you feel warm and receptive. So therefore, your chicken metaphorically is your content. Everybody has chicken, but
Mm-hmm.
everybody can't cook good chicken, and it may take certain tools to make that tantalizing to the palate. So right now, you have to ask yourself and reflect: are the children digesting, enjoying your chicken? Or they saying, I don't really want to go to your restaurant because it doesn't have that ambiance and the food doesn't taste good. I'm sorry. So I have to use that as an analogy to give them an example that you must formulate an atmosphere that is welcoming, soothing versus putting in attendance at your desk, putting in grades. First thing you need to do is greet the child. So it's really honing in and helping them to conceptualize that as well. And then it makes
Sure.
them, I don't go out, I don't go to restaurants. Well, you need to start to.
Right.
That could be the problem right there. Your socialization.
That's why you're so dry.
It's
Oh, okay.
right.
That's why you
Can
You don't
can
got no
can
flavor. Get some flavor in your life, man.
can I add on to this? Listen? I want to add on to what you just said, Kurt. Listen, I promise you. So, like, the school that I'm teaching at right now is, if we break down the dynamics, that the ethnic dynamics is majority Hispanic and black. We're the only, in my county that I work in, we're the only predominantly minority high school in Chesterfield County, and it's predominantly Hispanic. And I enjoy the world through food. One of the things I do, because you have to build connections with kids. You have to build connections. So one of the things that I do, one of the things that I talk to my kids about is, like, I'm a foodie. I travel the world through food, and they know that. And I open the door to them to let them know who I am. And listen, when I tell them I make a mean pozole, I make a mean pozole. They look at me as African American. They're like, as a black guy, they're like, what the hell you know about pozole? And I get to tell them, like, oh, listen, I know the chilies and all the stuff that you put into pozole, and they like, whoa, and you build that connection with them, so now it's like, what, you know about my culture, you know about my people, you know about where I come from, and it just, and it becomes and when I tell you, man, I'm talking about, I have some of my Hispanic students that come in that are low level English speakers, but because I can connect with them through food, by the time we get to taking my end of the year test, the WISE test for what I teach, man, they passionate,
Mm-hmm.
because they are, I'm connected with them through ways, through their culture.
You made them feel seen. You made them feel valued.
Yeah, I know who you are. I know who you are. I got you. I know who you are.
No, that's good stuff, man. And for me, the biggest thing I try to lead with, for my staff, I always start like, well, how would you want your child to be treated in the building? Like, if your child, if you had a child, grandchild, niece, nephew, what is the expectation you would have of that school for your child? If your child came in, was having a bad morning, would you want them to just immediately call you, yo, come get your kid? They ain't right today. Or would you want somebody to actually take some time, break out of the norm, and actually see what's really going on with you today? And is there a way that we can help get you back on the right track? For me, everything I'm hearing y'all saying is really just forming a connection. And
That's the most important thing.
yeah, forming a connection, forming a relationship of some sort, and really, um, just moving the conversation along. How do we get our colleagues into that mindset? Because I think that's kind of where it is. Like, I think y'all are speaking on an elite level of relationship building, but everybody's not there. And these kids, they don't get to just stay with you all day. as much as we would want, as much as they would want, because that's not life. That's not reality. So how do we get our fellow colleagues on that same page? Because they too got trauma they dealing with. Kurt was just talking about it earlier. You try and get out the house, baby girl can't find a shoe, and this is like, yo, we did this every morning. Come on, dog. Shoes is right there by the door. Grab them, put them on. Time when we get in the truck. We out.
And I understand that sentiment, but at the same time, I feel like adults, as educators, as adults, we have more choices. So we can, if we're having a bad day or whatever, we can stay home. So, but a lot of our students, they don't have a choice. So regardless of what's going on in their life, they still got to come to school. So it's like, I get it. We adults, we have trauma too, but stay home. I'm trying to work with these kids. Like, I mean, I'm not an administrator, so I don't know what y'all got to do. But for me, miss me with that. Go see a therapist. Um, but when it comes to helping the staff, it starts small. Start small. Everybody. I mean, I don't know if you got to come up with an initiative, something fun. Staff are competitive. We're gonna make sure we greet each and every student. We're gonna make sure we know each and every student's name. We're gonna make sure this week, let's try a circle in class. Take 2 minutes, do a check-in. A lot of my teachers do check-ins, like small stuff like that, and then you can build upon those things. Just make it a part of like the rituals and routines in the class. Um, Simple stuff that they can embed.
Mm-hmm.
And also giving them resources to deal with their trauma. Like you know, I don't know, maybe I have a wrong way of thinking, but I'm an adult. I come to work. If I can't be there for these kids, if I can't be 90, 100%, then I need not come today. And that's just what it is.
And some of them, they take advantage of that. So they have those extended weekends.
Mm-hmm.
And then they also, like everyone else kind of share, they deal with their prior traumatic experience with administrators.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes we have to come in and really get a pulse on their
Mm-hmm.
experience, their previous experience with administrators, and really sometimes I have to be a life coach and develop that patience with our consistency, which will establish trust with our follow through.
Mm.
Really have to spend some time on laying that groundwork. And the challenge part for me as an administrator is really making that time of spending that quality time with teachers. Yeah, we think they should already come in with those tools. They don't. Unfortunately, they don't.
Man, you get a check every 2 weeks. Come in with, you should be equipped.
Nah, don't work that way, man. Listen, people, life be life, and boy, I'm trying to tell you.
Hey,
And listen, you going through the things in your life, and then you expect to come in and manage a classroom of 20 some odd kids, and you not writing yourself. Nah, what that don't so what makes a difference is when an administrator, when you have that relationship with an administrator where you can actually talk to them. Ooh, man, that makes it a whole lot different. It makes it a whole lot different when I can talk to the administrator and pour this out, and then I can go in my classroom and I done got this off my chest.
But
I
what
done
about
got this off my chest, and I can go in the classroom and be the best teacher I can be because I done got this off my chest. 'Cause I done laid X, Y, and Z out because man, life is hard.
but let me
But on
let me
yeah,
top
push.
of
I
that,
respectfully disagree.
You know,
You got
I was gonna
80
push back.
teachers,
Please go ahead.
80 teachers. You gonna have 25 coming dumping on the principal and assistant principal? Nah, man. Nah. We don't do that.
True, true. I listen. I ain't. It ain't got to be every. It doesn't have to be everybody. It doesn't have to be everybody. But what I'm saying is, if because listen, the principals and the assistant principals be they life is going too.
So you got to be a wrestler. You got to tag. You got to tag team. So you got
yeah.
to bring in those additional resources in your school and tag and say, hey, here's that EAP. Yeah, you should go
Yep.
ahead and tap into some of those
Holler at the
services.
hotline.
Yeah.
It's free.
So all jokes aside, just to bring it all back, I'm gonna definitely agree with you. It is a tag team, so I have all female administration in my building, and we are all very different.
Mm-hmm.
So I will say, like, my staff knows, like, 10 toes down, I'm gonna stand up for you. and we're going to make things happen. But if you're crying, don't come to my office. Go to my AP's office. She's
She's
very well versed in being more calm and receiving. She's going to offer you tissue. She's going to sit and listen. I'm going to give you the space. If you come in my office crying, I'm going to be like, here's some tissue. I'm going to let you be in here. I'm going to close the doors. Let me know when you're ready to talk.
mm,
We move very different. Just to kind of bring it,
Understood.
I'm with you, but you can't come and dump on me because my life is life in two.
there we go.
And I'm with you. I'm with you.
So I'm gonna ask y'all to go ahead and call this employee assistance number. If you need a therapist, we're gonna give you a space to get online with them. If you need to take the day, you can take the day. But I do tell my staff every time they look a little, I'm like, we have leave. You may want to lean on one of your teacher buddies today. If you're not up to it today, you need some help. You don't have to go in there and put on a whole Broadway play today. You know, you can kind of figure out something for them to do in groups. Lean on because we have paraprofessionals a lot in my building. Like, ask one of them to step up with you today. It's okay to be not okay today.
Not okay. I'm with you. I'm with you.
But here's the but. Like, we say your worst day is still a child's best hope. All that is great. But if you're not going to be able to be here, go ahead, put that leave in
Correct.
and get yourself together. Get your mind right. Get to where you feel like you can come in and do what you need to do. So I know everyone has a different perception of at different levels. Teachers feel a certain way, administrators feel a certain way. At the end of the day, none of us are volunteering, and we are building tomorrow's leaders. So if you come in here and you are at 10%, we're going to live in 2025 forever, because that's what we're at. We're at the 10% of teachers leading people and telling them everything you say is right.
Mm,
And
No.
no, that don't work that way.
Mm-mm.
Correct.
So we do have
I
to hold people to a standard and have expectations, even around mental health. But I'm going to take it all the way back to the first question. No, I don't think teachers are equipped to be mental health therapists in class. I think that we can lead some trauma to different ways. We can be absorbent of kids who feel a certain way. We can be more friendly. We need to make these connections. But at
mm,
the end of the day, you pay me to educate. You do not pay me to be a socially emotional
therapist.
leader. You don't pay me to come in and be someone's therapist in the corner. But I can definitely recommend some things that we can do to get through this part of the day. And if it's too much, I really think that we do need to outsource these things to people who are trained
and
to guide
equipped to handle it.
people to a better space.
I I agree with you when I tell you I've never mm, the space that I've been in since I've been back in Virginia is pure chaos.
What you mean?
I've been in two school districts in Virginia. I even say last school year had me wanting to get out of education. Last school year, we had a kid. We had three situations where we had guns in the school. We had a kid to get stabbed in the building. Um, I had two kids that were in my class, two students that were in the same class. Um, one murdered the other one, and the kid that got murdered shot him too. Like, this is all in the same school year, and it got me to a point. It had me to a point. I was like, yo, I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
But that's leaving. That's also leaving the school district that I was at before, where in 4 years you talking about 14 kids that either got shot, or murdered somebody. And listen, this is only a school. This is only a city in the school district. It's a city of 32,000 people.
Mm,
I ain't talking. I'm not talking Philly. I ain't talking DC. I ain't talking PG County. I'm talking there's 32,000 people in this city, and when I tell you it's been crazy.
mm,
Um, so for me, man, so the trauma of, man, you, even as a teacher, like, yo, when you see that you got a female student that shot somebody in broad daylight in the middle of the day, and she ain't in school no more,
Got to be addressed.
yeah, yeah. And
like.
and how do we expect? And not even to cut you short though, Goody, is when you sit back and you reflect on it. Now they're expecting you to come in the next day like, hey, let's get it pop.
everything is good. No, it's not good.
Now, and so when was that opportunity for you to process and unpack what you just experienced? Maybe you didn't see him getting shot, but you're talking about these are kids you've interacted with on a daily basis.
Man, I
And
give
then
you,
all of a sudden, one of them's gone, never to return. One of them is in jail, most likely. That's a whole bunch of trauma that I feel like people, is overlooked in education. Like,
Mike, I give you one joint where kid I had a great relationship with, and he was doing what he was doing out on the streets, and he got caught up because he came to school and he didn't realize that it was something that was still in his coat, and he got sent to alternative school. Um, and this kid comes back when he's allowed to come back to school to regular school, and when I say good kid, wanted to go into plumbing, wanted to do good things. He comes back, and the day after he comes back to school, I know it was nothing. I know that it was a kid that was in my class that killed him.
mm,
I know that, but the police can't. They couldn't figure that out. I know what was happening because just how the whole circumstance came out. But I knew what it was, and I saw that I saw the kid that got killed, and I saw him today. The in school before the evening that he got killed, and it was like he got murdered. It was like, man, I just saw this kid yesterday, and I'm on my way to school the next day, and
Yeah.
yeah, man, that's
I'm on
real.
my way to school the next day, and my coworker calls me. He's like, X, Y, and Z got murdered last night. What? I just saw that dude yesterday.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a lot, yo.
It's a lot. It's heavy.
That's a whole lot right there. And for me, my next question for me is like, what do we do to support our colleagues who are dealing with this kind of trauma? Obviously we're super focused on the students, but what about our colleagues? And you kind of made the reference about coming and being able to talk to an administrator, but now an administrator has to take what you've just unloaded on them, and now what do I do with that? And I'm then, as an administrator, I have to help lead the building. So do I get the opportunity to be like, I want to shut my door and boo hoo for a minute and this and the third, or nah, I got to take it on the chin. I still got to present as a strong force. I still got to be able to, give direction. I still got to make sure I'm able to respond with the quickness. When do I do that? What do I go home and I dump that off on, if I'm fortunate to have a spouse who will listen to me, what do we do? Dr.
We're
Trump?
actually, yeah, we're starting to lead down this particular pathway now. I'm in charge of student ambassadors, and with this particular group, what we want to do is implement this year is a podcast, a mental wellness podcast, which is led by the students, and it's going to be also streamed on Spotify, and it's going to be streamed where the topics are going to look at just wellness, looking at different forms of adversity, and then being able to galvanize experts to be able to come in and share the resources and really share that line of communication all throughout the building to create a culture around let's have these discussions, but what are the resources? So we always want to end with solutions and resources. Where do they go next? Then we're going to start really getting into a catchy theme and really promote it with merch, just really getting people to tune in. And then also bringing in teachers that want to share their insight, their experience within certain parameters as well. That's not too revealing. But I think it really starts because as administrators, we're one person and we're human. So therefore, we have a battery as well. So when our battery is being drained, we have to explore creative ways of recharging ourselves. So for us, we're going down this new pathway of, okay, let's look at this podcast. Let's really have these courageous conversations. Let's also frame it where it's 15 and 20 minutes. And then just have these segments on a weekly basis so people can understand or learn where do I go if I'm experiencing this.
Oh, that's super dope. That's super dope. So, I definitely encourage everybody, if you don't have something like a podcast or whatnot, what are some other things that we can do, not just for our students, but also for our colleagues? because it's stressful. Education is a stressful job. I had a friend of mine that used to call me a overpaid babysitter. And I was like, dude, if you if you only knew what it's like to deal with other people's kids on a daily basis, homie, it ain't. Yeah, babysitting is the farthest thing from what we dealing with, man. But what do we do? Like, how do we help build our colleagues' capacity on dealing with trauma and unpacking trauma? Because I think that's the most important piece is to unpack it, so you're not carrying this heavy load with you.
I think, like Kurt was saying, I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say, go ahead. I was going to refer to what he was stating too.
Yeah.
It's providing the resources and helping people know what to do next.
Mm-hmm.
Also letting them know like they're not alone.
Mm-hmm.
So like having a podcast is an amazing thing that people can do. And we talk about being in isolation, but it's something that I can do. I don't have to watch it with someone else, but it's giving me information and resources and next steps for me to move to the next space. Because a lot of times we don't know that we're holding trauma.
Right.
So to hear people share and talk about it, it's like, that is how I feel. That is what I'm going through. So that right there is going to be an amazing support.
That part.
That part.
Offering those resources. What do we do? What do you do next? Okay, now this happened. What next?
Mm-hmm.
So I can take it to like a upfront position of it. So having trauma not too long ago happened in a school that I worked at. We had to bring the resources to the building as an immediate
Mm.
situation. So we were lucky enough to have some time to be home to kind of deal with the issue. But the moment we returned to the building, it was like the crisis team showed up and they were there for an entire week.
Mm.
There for adults, they were there for children. But then as the administrator, I had to lead, but had to be vulnerable in the same respect. So I had to share, like, I too feel this.
Mm.
And this is how I'm dealing with this. But instead of us coming back and doing this deep dive into, let's just get back to academics, let's just do this, I had to plan like I was a mom. How do you address something that just happened in your household? So, like, it was almost like we came back, we had the sensitivity dogs from the police. We brought them in. We had storytellers come in to talk about things. We had the crisis. We had counselors. We had like moon bounces
Wow.
for stress relief for the adults before school and for the kids during school. We had role play people come in. It's like a whole week of therapy. It was the most difficult planning I've ever had to do.
Mm.
I have to talk about things with 4-year-olds, 11-year-olds, and then adults, and then their parents,
I was about to say, and in the community, right?
because this happened outside of the school, but at the school. So it affected everyone. So it was definitely like you have to look at what resources can I bring immediately that are hands on right here, that people don't feel like I have to be vulnerable in front of everyone or I can be vulnerable in front of everyone. So you had to have office spaces, you had to have people in group sessions, in single sessions, different outlets. It was something for an entire week. And then we started tapering it off, still providing a resource. So the resource is the biggest thing that I can say. That's how you start to unpack it. And to be preventative is almost mandating a connection. Because if you can't connect, if there is no connection, it's not going to work ever.
At all.
All the way down to the greeting.
Mm-hmm.
Greet people every time you see them so that they feel safe enough just to say, look, I'm having a bad day. Can I talk to you? Or can I go talk to the counselor? Or can I go talk to that one person that is my person?
Right.
Have that connection. They bottle it up and then it becomes all of these other behaviors in situations in our building.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
And I know one thing for my staff this year, we were really we did a post assessment, like a culture and climate type of thing last school year, and the biggest thing was obviously dealing with stress, dealing with trauma of some sort. But the other piece was the self care piece, and I think a lot of people overlook that need for self care. So this year we were pushing not just for the staff and students, but for the community at large, and we're blessed to be able to do this through community schools. We were able to partner with a gentleman who does personal training, but he's going to do group sessions of just like Zumba type stuff, hit activities, just to kind of give folks an outlet to get all that, that negative energy or that stress that they've been walking around with, get it out in a more positive manner. And so that's definitely something we were trying to focus on. And also because of the benefits of getting more healthy, you're able to deal with stress a lot better. So definitely I wanted to put that out there.
Sounds good.
So I appreciate y'all, just in wrapping this thing on up. Uh, I know this episode was heavy. It's not a light thing to talk about trauma. It's not a light thing to talk about dealing with certain things that are bothering us. But it's much needed to get it out. It's not good to stew on it. It's not good to hold it in because that can lead to other issues you may face. Um, but before we roll out, I definitely wanted to say, that always remember people don't necessarily remember what you did to them, but they do remember how you made them feel. And I think if folks in education could really hold on to that piece, we could definitely see a change in the ethos of our culture and climates and buildings, especially when it comes to dealing with trauma.
You
We
mean
just
what you
got to.
said to them? They don't remember what you said to them?
Oh, I said people don't often remember what you did to them. They remember how you made them feel.
Okay.
If you think about that, like when you think about one of your favorite teachers, why were they your favorite? I remember this guy named Mr. Luther, ex-Vietnam dude. He made me feel seen. As a black young boy, white man, he made me feel seen. Like I know in his class, I felt like I could do anything. And that's going all the way back to third grade. I still remember Mr. Luther. So again, thank
Probably,
you. I'm
it's
sorry.
probably what got you in education now.
Mm-hmm.
I ain't gonna say all that, but man, I was between jobs, and that joker, my man put me on. Said, "You get the summers off." I said, "Really? Okay. Let me see what this teacher think about."
Dog, come
Look at
on,
me.
Mike.
That's how you started, huh?
Look at me now, right?
I, I look. So my students, I'm an open door. So I always open my classroom up in a year, and I tell them who I am because I don't want you to think that. Because teachers will always, I was like, y'all got teachers that go blah 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 blah, and y'all don't really know who they are. I open my classroom. I open the school year up with, and all of my classes is like, yo, I want you to know who I am um, before you learn anything from me, so that we can make a connection. Um, and when I say I go deep, I go deep. And them and the kids, like again, like I said, my Hispanic kids, they, Pasole?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know Pasole, and they what, and we go from there. But it's man, we that's what we got to do. We don't do enough. People don't do enough of making connections.
Yeah.
Hmm.
The connections are so important, and um, like I got into teaching in order to coach football. I started teaching in Florida, and I went down there to coach football.
Hmm.
It's become something that I couldn't see myself not doing it right now. Working in the school district, working with kids, and seeing the growth from a kid to go from the ninth grade and to see I'm on the secondary level and high school level, but seeing the kid go from the ninth grade and immature and that, like, dude, what are you doing? And then you see him grow up. It's like, ah, this is what it was for. This is what we went through the headache for. Yeah, now you got it. And you going to college and you going to trade school. You going to do whatever. It makes it all worth it.
There you go. Planted the seed. Somebody came along, watered it. Now that joint to bloom, man. There you go.
Yeah.
Cycle of life, man. But just know trauma is real, you all. Just remember that trauma is real, but healing is also real. And the classroom can be one of the most powerful places for that healing to take place. So for any educators that are listening in right now, start small, one student, one moment, one act of grace. If your students are listening, know that, your trauma does not define your destiny. And if you're a building leader, understand that your role isn't just academics, you're human as well. So at the end of the day, that's what academic therapy is here for. All right. Giving ourselves and our students the tools, the space, and the belief that no matter what we've been through, we can still win. All right. So thank y'all for rocking out with me today for the episode about trauma. Do me a favor if you haven't, for our listeners and followers, please share this with another educator, another parent, or someone who needs to hear that trauma doesn't disqualify them. Make sure you subscribe, leave a review, and tap in with us for our next episode in the next conversation here on Academic Therapy. Until then, keep learning, keep growing, and keep healing. This is Academic Therapy. Peace.
All right. Thank you, everyone. It was a pleasure.